He's probably most famous for directing the feature-length documentary film Burden of Dreams, which was about the making of Fitzcarraldo, which was a very legendarily cursed film production. And this past week, I watched 9 of his films. Some of them are short, like some of them are 20, 30 minutes long. The longest one was a 90-minute feature that he did called A Poem as a Naked Person, which was this tangential movie about musician Leon Russell, like following him around while he's recording and touring and stuff like that. Pretty good. And I highly recommend them because they are very pleasurable. One I really liked was Garlic is as Good as 10 Mothers, which is like a 50-minute documentary about garlic, its medicinal qualities, why it's misunderstood. And I like garlic a lot. So he also has a really great documentary that's on the Criterion Channel about Cajun and Creole cooking in Louisiana. That one is a great short documentary film about Cajun and Creole cooking. He also has another one called Spend It All, which is about the Cajun people in general. Les Blank is not very interested in explaining things. There's not really any narration. There are talking head interviews, but they go by very quickly, and the person being interviewed is usually doing something else like cooking or playing music or just doing anything else at all. Like Les Blank obviously have these things that he's interested in. He's interested in people having fun, dancing, playing music, listening to music, cooking. There's not really like a distinction between any of these things. They all kind of wrap up into one thing. So like even his documentaries about Cajun and Creole cooking and garlic and stuff like that, even those have a lot of music in it. And the music that's in the documentary is music that was performed during the making of the film. He doesn't really like make a distinction. Everything is just sort of mixed together. And one of his films that was funny that's kind of, I guess, outside of it is a 20-minute documentary of Werner Herzog eating his shoe. And that's what he does in the documentary. He eats his shoe. He also has like a very interesting one called Gap-Toothed Women. And, it's his exploration of finding beauty in that and how women feel about it. And he talks to like maybe a couple women who are famous models and stuff who have gap teeth, and they talk about growing up with it and debating about whether they should get it fixed or not. And Les Blank also seems very concerned with work and labor. So like even in his Gap Tooth Women documentary, he talks to women who have all kinds of different occupations, artists, musicians. He talks to one who is like big rig truck driver. And the Garlic documentary ends with footage of clearly like migrant workers harvesting and cleaning the garlic because that's where it comes from, which is a very interesting note to end it on. There's a really good one he did that I watched called A Well Spent Life about this guy named Mainz Lipscomb, who's a guitar player from Texas. And in the documentary, he's like in his 70s or 80s or something like that. And he's a farmer. He's been a farmer his whole life. And he just happens to be an unbelievably good guitar player. And so it's just kind of like great that he was able to go out there and talk to him and follow him and just hang out with him. And so I really like his movies. Even when they're making diversions, it's still focused and still amazing. And the thing about Les Blank is that when you watch a documentary, he'll appear. It's clear that these film projects aren't things that he was hired to do. He's not just making a film, but he's also there and he's like taking it in and he's having fun himself. And you feel that way too